A convicted serial stowaway is arrested yet again, this time just hours after getting out of jail. Voters are at the polls deciding on a referendum that could keep them afloat. Wi-Fi is all around us, at home, at work, and across our neighborhoods. So why are some saying it's making them sick?
We have seen an officer stop by this location to check out the structure behind us, and there's a good reason for that. You can actually see the fire that was part of this building start back up.
Never before have I really been able to walk on Wacker Drive and basically empty this time of night.
You won't find conference championship gear here, more traditional items like this. And there's a reason why. The shop prefers selling Stanley Cup merchandise. It's more profitable.
Some of the most severe damage that we have seen. A tree in the background blocking off any cars from coming in.
New this morning, a 7-year-old boy returning from a 4th of July celebration is shot and killed in Humboldt Park. Police say he and another victim were standing on the sidewalk near Hardick and Thomas just before midnight when shots were fired. The boy was hit in the chest. Paramedics rushed him to Stroger Hospital, where he later died. The other victim, a 26-year-old woman, was also taken to Stroger in stable condition. Police believe the victims were not targeted. So far, no one is in custody. A 14-year-old boy is dead after a fight on Facebook transitions into real-life violence. The Wisconsin teen died after he was shot Friday night. Police say the boy and a group of friends had an argument on Facebook with another group of people over a girl. The two groups met up at a fireworks show. That is when someone fired a barrage of 8 or 9 shots. Police continue to search for suspects. Rescuers in China scrambled to find people trapped during an earthquake, even as the ground was still shaking. Surveillance video shows a group of soldiers running for the door after a 6.5 magnitude quake in far western China Friday. Many arrived at the hardest hit areas within minutes. At least 6 people were killed. Take a look at what's going on behind me. These serious flames in the boardwalk in Atlantic City. This fire reportedly broke out at a 4th of July celebration while the boardwalk was lined with visitors. Fortunately, no reports of any injuries. Getting ready to celebrate another milestone. Princess Charlotte will be christened today at Queen Elizabeth's Country Estate. The special event will take place at St. Mary Magdalene Church. Hundreds of locals expected to gather, hoping for a glimpse of the royal family. For people who have difficulty making toast, like myself, this is actually a pretty good way to go.
No cooking required.
And of course, both these things are non-fat, right?
Of course, no calories. And fresh strawberry scones, which are my favorite.
I've tried making scones before.
Oh, how did that go?
It did not go well. It did not go well.
The view is fantastic. The view is of downtown Chicago.
After the rush, a rush hour.
Yeah, always running around, always working through traffic.
Daisy Arashiba settles into his 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath apartment. The comic actor and musician calls this home and home office for,
What, 7 years?
but this year he discovered his nest
Was that a falcon?
expanded unexpectedly.
Well, I'm sure you know the Chicago Housing Authority's like, that's not a legal bedroom out there in the balcony.
Part of his 28th floor Lakeview apartment was taken over by a pair of squawky squatters.
When they get together, they become kind of the Bickersons. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, I've been flying around hunting things. What do you got? I got something. I just killed it. You want to eat some? Sure. You know.
Peregrine falcons are a bird of prey traditionally nesting in places like barren cliff faces.
And I happen to have empty window boxes because I'm a terrible gardener.
He branded the birds after famous musicians.
Steve and Linda, because Perry, Steve Perry and Linda Perry.
Eventually discovering his new neighbors made more than music.
And there are 4 chicks. There's Luke Perry, Katy Perry, Joe Perry, and because it's Chicago, Refrigerator Perry.
The birds are federally protected, so it is against the law to move the nest. Arashiba has limited access to his balcony for about another month. That's when this feathered family could say farewell.
Chicks that have been born here have ended up as far away as Ecuador.
For now, the hum of traffic is part of the lullaby for 4 newborns. The Windy City providing a perch and one man providing the rent for some temporary tenants.
So there they are. Unfortunately, I'm okay with it.
Jeremy Ross, CBS 2 News.
Fortunately, there are no injuries to report about this evening, but the U.S. Coast Guard tells us they will be shutting down a portion of the river below from around now until at least 9 tomorrow morning. That's so crews can tend to the barge below. It is partially submerged, and workers are trying to determine why. For a few hours, the flow of traffic near the Lake Street Bridge
pulled over.
There's dozens.
It wasn't for police. It was for what was seen down below.
Somebody's getting fired for that for sure.
A barge once hosting clay from a construction project began to sink. People nearby heard a loud boom.
It started sinking. You saw bubbles, just bubbles, and it was sinking.
You guys basically have been eating lunch watching the barge go down?
Pretty much, yeah.
Chris Morano and his friends had a view of the vessel. It is described as almost as long as a football field and as wide as a city street. The barge slowly took on water as it may have taken on a battle with physics and lost.
I would say the dirt was most focused like in the middle.
It cracked right in the center and started sinking.
Maybe they just put too much weight in one bad spot.
Clark Construction tells us that they are investigating. The Coast Guard says the company has hired people to remove clay from inside, and after that, the barge should be light enough to push to the side of the river. No timetable on when an investigation into a cause will be complete. If moving into a house is a fluid process, consider this unpacking.
My son's clothes.
One step toward feeling at home for Kristen Skinderi, husband Ozzy, and 14-month-old baby Nixon.
His Santa outfit.
All are temporarily staying at Kristen's mom's in Des Plaines.
It's not nap time yet, buddy.
It is their first weekend back after a frightening journey beginning with what doctors told them was a death sentence.
They said, enjoy your son, because he will probably not live past the age of 3.
About 9 months ago, the family learned Nixon had Gaucher's disease. That's when the body lacks an enzyme leading to organ damage. It can be as fatal as it is rare.
He's like one of 12 in the world.
But rather than move towards mourning, over the past several months, the couple moved from place to place to save their son.
We went to a children's hospital in Cincinnati, Ohio.
We lived in Loyola.
The only real places we visited were hospitals.
We lived in Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh.
There, doctors performed an umbilical cord stem cell transplant. The process included chemotherapy, killing the disease, but also Nixon's ability to fight off infection. The transplant offered a way to rebuild what Gaucher's and treatment destroyed.
That's my guy.
Yeah, buddy.
It also rebuilt a family's sense of hope.
There's nothing showing that he has Gaucher's disease anymore.
The next move they hope to make is even further away from a deadly disease.
So surreal to be back here in Chicago.
The Skinderis are not calling this a cure. Because of the rarity of Nixon's case, doctors aren't sure what his future holds. What they have said, his life expectancy is now greater than age 3. His parents hoping to be part of it for much, much longer than that. We downloaded a free noise measuring application. Out here, the noise outside, my voice, it picks up at anywhere between 60 to 70 decibels. When planes fly overhead, that increases to somewhere between 90 to 100 decibels. It is by no means a true scientific measure, but the difference is keeping neighbors up at night.
We live a beautiful life here.
But some in Itasca say that's only possible with the volume turned off.
It's louder than the loudest train you could hear.
It sounds like an air show. It's more like...
It's just continuous.
The mayor's mother, Nancy Prine, kept a list.
250, 10, 252.
She recalls hearing a plane's flight path from O'Hare about every 2 minutes.
It was never as bad as it is right now.
You cannot sit outside on the front of your house, in the back of your house, and have a conversation. Here, look at where that is.
This week, the FAA declined a request to hold additional hearings, saying their initial evaluation, including noise assessment, was comprehensive, but adds they are reevaluating a portion of the airport build-out because one runway is being constructed in a different order than first anticipated. Lawmakers like Congressman Mike Quigley are working
to pressure the FAA to hold hearings to alternate the use of runways in the short term.
That could mean less air traffic overhead and less noise overheard.
Having a hard time talking on the phone.
Now you can't even watch TV.
Even with the windows closed, it's difficult.